Is official. Batgirl is not coming out. It's not going to come out in theaters. It's not going to come out on HBO Max. WB has decided to completely shelve and cancel the movie, although it has cost anywhere between 70 and 90 million dollars. They decided we're going to go ahead and eat that money, and we're just going to go ahead and cancel that movie altogether. But why? That's the question. Why? A lot of fans are wondering. And today we're going to go through a very lengthy breakdown and theories on why this is actually occurring. So let's start. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel once again. If you guys are finding me for the first time, please do me a favor, smash that like and subscribe button. Now, this is going to be a pretty lengthy video because I want to go into all the stuff that I'm not a detective. I don't know anything about what's going on in Hollywood behind closed doors. I don't have any contacts over there. I don't work at Warner Brothers. I don't have any inside sources. I'm just going by the material and the news that I have been presented online. And I'm going to go over some of my explanations on why I feel like they decided that they wanted to go ahead and shelve the Warner Brothers Discovery, cancel Batgirl, why they decided they wanted to do this. This is what we're going to talk about today. And I'm just going to go over all the different evidence and stuff on why I think they actually decided to do this to this movie. Because I know a lot of people out there are confused, and a lot of people out there think that this is fake news. And I'm telling you guys, this is not fake news. Like, major trades are reporting this. Hollywood Reporter, Deadline are reporting that Warner Brothers has just decided to cancel the movie. The movie was almost done. It was almost being shot. Michael Keaton was going to star in this movie. This movie cost anywhere, I'm hearing between 70 and 90 million. I don't know the exact budget, but I keep saying between 70 and 90 million. And they just decided, okay, you know what? We're going to completely shelve this movie. This movie's never coming out. And it was supposed to be for HBO Max, but they decided they're not even going to release it on HBO Max. And again, this is coming from the New York Post, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, everything, is coming out. And that could explain why Warner Brothers did not have anything to do with Batgirl at Comic-Con. So I'm going to go over some of my thoughts on why this is actually the case. Now, the simple answer is this: Warner Brothers has officially merged with Discovery. Discovery and Warner Brothers is now one. The new person in charge of the company from Discovery, he's a strict person. He's a smart business person. He's not like what we're used to with Warner Brothers, where they just kind of throw everything out there and whatever sticks. Like, he has a game plan. He's going through and he's doing certain things, right? And if it doesn't make financial sense, then he's going to fix it. Now, a lot of people think that, well, they're canceling Batgirl because of Ezra Miller, and I don't think Ezra Miller per se has anything to do with this movie being canceled. I just think that, I believe his name is David Zaslav. Let's pull that up. David Zaslav, I believe is his name. Yes, right here, David Zaslav. He's the new guy in charge at Warner Brothers, and he probably looked at this and said, this doesn't fit where we want to go with with this property, because David Zaslav is a smart individual. He's a really smart guy. And he's probably looking across the street and looking at Marvel and going, why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we that successful? Because, well, you got three different Batmans going on at once. You have Ben Affleck's Batman, you have Robert Pattinson's Batman, and you have Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. The inconsistency and lack of leadership has haunted Warner Brothers for years. I have said this 9 years ago. I've said this when Black Panther beat the crap out of Justice League. The fact that there is no leadership over at Warner Brothers is the reason why they are not as successful as Marvel. Not to say that movies are less than Marvel, because I think there's some DC movies that are better than Marvel's DC movies. But the reason why they don't resonate and get that fund and get that revenue like Marvel does and get that level of success is because they haven't built in that hardcore fan base that wants to go along for the ride. Whereas you look over across the street to Marvel, they have hardcore fans, they have casual fans. Their movie appeals to everybody. And every time you go see a movie, there's going to be a nugget that leads into the next movie. And it's a part of this overarching story where you look at Warner Brothers and you're like, oh, we had Man of Steel. BVS. And then everything kind of fell off its wagon, right? Now we have a Joker movie, but it's not the Joker in the DCEU. Successful, but not the Joker in the DCEU. And then we have a Batman movie, but it's not Ben Affleck's movie. And it's not Ben Affleck as Batman. It's a different Batman with a different Jim Gordon in a different universe completely, not even attached to the Joker movie that came out prior to that. So we have a Batman with Jared Leto as the Joker, but a Joker movie with a different actor in a different universe. And then we have another Batman movie with another different Joker than a different universe. Like, it gets really convoluted quick. It's very convoluted quickly, you know? So we have literally 3 Batmans and 3 Jokers going on simultaneously inside the same universe. And I'm pretty sure that David Zaslav came over and said, this is stupid. This makes no sense. How are we supposed to build a fan base when we are confusing the fan base itself? Now, it's very simple for someone like you, someone like me, to keep track of all this stuff, because we are in the loop. We're on the internet watching videos and reading articles. But little Jimmy on the street, he sees Batman. He's like, where's the other Batman? We literally have 3 different versions of the Batman character going on at the same time. How are you supposed to build a foundation on something if your foundation is constantly changing? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm pretty sure David Zaslav came in and said, this makes no sense. So, unfortunately, I think he looked at Batgirl and he said, well, this doesn't make any sense to me. You know, we need to focus on the theatrical movies, building that brand. It doesn't make sense spending upwards to $90 million on Batgirl for an HBO Max movie. Doesn't make any sense. So he probably canceled it. I do think there's underlining things also going on that I'm going to explain here. Now, with no surprise, if you guys don't know what's going on, let me kind of explain this to you. When you say Marvel Studios, right, and you say MCU, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Kevin Feige, right? Kevin Feige, our Lord and Savior, Kevin Feige, the guy who's been steering the ship this entire time. We always know Kevin Feige is going to have our back, and he's going to, you know, give us to the promised land, lead us to the promised land, and he's going to deliver the goods, right? Kevin Feige is the guy we trust. Like, he's the figurehead. But Kevin Feige didn't do it alone. Along the way, there's been some people, and one of those people was, you know, Jon Favreau, directed the first Iron Man movie. But also, when Marvel Studios established before it was even owned by Disney, Kevin Feige and a bunch of other people decided they wanted to create Marvel Studios, and they went out and they did different movies. That's why the first Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Captain America, all those earlier Phase 1 movies are not on Disney's payroll. They weren't even, like, they were different companies. You got like Paramount and Universal and all this stuff, because Marvel Studios was its own studio, much like Lucasfilm was its own studio. Then Disney bought it and whatnot. And then when Disney purchased it, Kevin Feige really worked hands-on with someone by the name of Alan Horn. Alan Horn and Kevin Feige are the actual reason why the MCU is the way it is today. Alan Horn gave Kevin Feige a lot of freedom to do what he wanted and creative power to do the MCU the way he sees fit. Alan Horn was really the guy in the movie division that let Kevin Feige do his thing. He's the one that told, you know, Kevin Feige to get away from Crow Mutter. He's kind of separated those two. Crow Mutter went and did some of the TV stuff, kind of left Kevin Feige to do his thing. That's why when you look at the Age of Ultron movie compared to the first Avengers movie, the Age of Ultron movie has different music score than any of the other Avengers movies. The Avengers theme does not appear in the Age of Ultron movie because they had a completely different composer doing the score. That's because at the time, Crow Mutter, who worked with Kevin Feige, thought that music wasn't important. You don't need music. Anybody can come in and do the music. And although the score for Age of Ultron is really good, you compare that score with the first Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, is not as powerful as those movies because there was a different composer doing it. Well, Alan Horn eventually saw that there was clashing between Kevin Feige and Crow Mutter, and he ended up giving more power to Kevin Feige. Crow Mutter eventually phased out, went and did some TV stuff or whatever. I say this because Alan Horn is a big reason why the MCU is the MCU today, because he believed in Kevin Feige and he knew how to not delegate, not micromanage. He believed in Kevin Feige and his creators to do their work. And the reason why I bring this up is because Cromutter has signed on with WB. Warner Brothers has signed Alan Horn to their movie division over at Warner Brothers. Now, this happened a couple weeks ago, and the reason why I bring this up is because David Zaslav is a smart businessman. He's smart enough to know that if I don't understand something, I'm going to get fucking people that know what they're doing. So David Zaslav hired Alan Horn. Alan Horn, he retired, came back out of retirement, and now he's with Warner Brothers. And now the first thing he's going to be doing is trying to fix the movie division. Because again, you look at the movie division, it's all over the place, right? We have, like I said, I'm not going to repeat myself, but we have 3 different iterations of the Batman universe going on simultaneously. So Alan Horn comes back in, and to me, I feel like there's no surprise that we're seeing things being changed so quickly because of Alan Horn coming in. He's going to look at the success of the MCU that he helped build with Kevin Feige, and they're going to try to, not replicate that success over at Warner Brothers, but at least give it the best opportunity to succeed by giving it one narrow vision. And that's very big news because when you look at stuff, Warner Brothers is starting to fix decades of mistakes that I have told you guys that has been going on over at Warner Brothers. Mistakes that just doesn't make any sense. So now Alan Horn is there to go and try to fix this stuff. So it's no surprise to me that Batgirl got canceled. There's no surprise to me that Batgirl got canceled. Because it doesn't make sense. What is the purpose of it? It is a surprise to me that they decided to eat $90 million. Now, a lot of people are like, well, the Flash is the next one. And I'm not entirely sure that's the case. I'm not going to lie to you. If I read an article tomorrow or next week or the week after that the Flash is canceled, I wouldn't be surprised. As of right now, I don't think that's on the chopping block, but I wouldn't be surprised because that movie did cost almost $300 million. It came like $250 million, something of that nature, to make that movie. Now, this is where my theories start to come in. So we have the Discovery merger, right? Discovery merged with Warner Brothers. Zaslav is smart enough to know, hey, I can't do this alone. We need to fix this because this place is just a mess. They bring in Alan Horn. Alan Horn comes in very much, part of that success of the MCU and looks at the DC, whatever the DC is over there, and like, we need to fix this. And and this is where my theories start to come in. And again, I have no proof, no inside information. I'm going by what I'm showing you. These are my evidence right here to have me put together this theory, right? So I feel like there's no coincidence here that the merger happens. This movie gets canceled. Right? Alan Horn comes in, blah, blah, blah. I feel like there's no coincidence that last week we find out that Ben Affleck is returning in Aquaman 2. I feel like there's no coincidence. It's like, boom, last week Ben Affleck was supposed to appear in Aquaman 2. Right? A small scene. The movie's already done filming, so a lot of people are thinking it's an end credit scene. But what's come out since then was actually there was a scene with Michael Keaton in it. Michael Keaton was supposed to have like a little end credit scene with Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Well, they decided to replace that and bring back Big Ben, and Ben Affleck is going to fill that role. I do think that there's no amount of coincidence here that just a week later, Batgirl's now canceled. So my theory is, what is the two things that connect those two movies? What's the thing that connects it? Michael Keaton's Batman. Michael Keaton's Batman is the thing that connects that. Michael Keaton's Batman is the one thing that connects those two movies. Well, they took out Michael Keaton's Batman out of Aquaman because The Flash got pushed back to next year. The Flash got pushed back to next year, so the Flash isn't coming out the way it's supposed to. So it would be kind of weird how Michael Keaton shows up in this, but we have to wait a year or whatever for him to show up in the Flash. So I think it's kind of odd that they replaced Michael Keaton's cameo with Ben Affleck, and now they canceled Batgirl, which heavily had Michael Keaton's Batman in there. And of course we had, and this takes place in the DCEU. This takes place in the DCEU because J.K. Simmons is in here as Gordon. So this isn't another iteration of Batman. This is the DCEU Batman. So what I'm getting at here is I don't think, because a lot of people can be like, they're re-bringing back the Snyderverse. I don't think that's the case, that they're re-bringing back the Snyderverse. I think they're trying to get everything on a narrow path here, right? I think they're trying to get everything on a narrow path to where they're like, Alan Horn comes in, they're like, we got this Flash movie, we got Michael Keaton in here, we've been promoting Michael Keaton all over the place, Michael Keaton in Flash, Michael Keaton in Batgirl, Michael Keaton in the end credit scene that we didn't even know about in Aquaman. Now we know about it, right? It doesn't make sense to have these movies if the Flash has been put back to a year. So my thought process is, well, they kind of looked at it and said, well, this is unnecessary. If we release this just because, and it doesn't really connect to anything. You know, this thing really doesn't connect to anything. So why not just scrap the whole thing altogether? And yeah, so with the Flash movie being pushed back to next year, then it doesn't make any sense to have him in the Aquaman movie. So let's bring back Ben Affleck to play that role. And then it really won't make sense because he's going to be heavily in there. So that's the thing. What happened was when Ben Affleck, when Ben Affleck was going through all this trouble during the shoot of Justice League and BVS, he was going through a lot of stuff. You know, I'm not going to recap everything, but, you know, he had, you know, drinking problems. His marriage was falling apart. You know, you guys can read about it if you want to. You know, he decided to step away. And now he's coming back. He's coming back in the Flash. He's coming back in Aquaman. And I think what's going on here for me personally is I think what they were going to do originally was they were going to have Michael Keaton's Batman replace Ben Affleck's Batman, right? That they were going to do some kind of like time travel multiverse thing in the Flash. Maybe Ben Affleck's Batman dies, and then somehow by the end of that movie, Michael Keaton's Batman is in the DCEU. And then Michael Keaton's Batman was going to then not get his own movie, not come back, but he was going to be like a Batman Beyond mentor character, and he was going to mentor Batgirl. That's what I really think was going to happen. The Flash movie was going to phase out Ben Affleck's Batman in a story thread, and then from there, they're going to go ahead and have Michael Keaton's Batman oversee Batgirl, and Batgirl was going to take center stage and replace Batman in the DCEU, much like the plan was for Supergirl to replace Henry Cavill. We heard reports about that like a year or two ago, that Supergirl and Batgirl were going to replace Batman and Superman in the DCEU. And what I think was what happened here is that what was going on is that they decided, well, this isn't really going to work. The Flash got pushed back, and Ben is in a better place now, and it doesn't make sense, right? Alan Horn probably came in and was like, none of this makes any sense, and just started scrapping certain ideas of whatnot. So maybe Michael Keaton may never show up in the DCEU. For all we know, they can go back and just take his scenes out of the Flash movie, or reshoot part of the Flash movie, or cancel the Flash movie altogether. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. Well, my main theory to all this is I think Alan Horn is coming in and he's scrapping and trying to fix the DCEU the best he possibly can. And unfortunately, when that happens, there's going to be casualties. And one of the casualties is going to be Michael Keaton's Batman as well as the Batgirl film. I know there's people out there looking forward to this movie, and maybe one day we will see this movie. Maybe one day they'll release it. But as of right now, it's not going to happen. Because right now they're trying to fix this mess that Warner Brothers has been pushing back and trying to hide for years now. You know, if you ever had like a junk drawer, like a drawer, and you just keep throwing junk in there, random junk, and you just keep hiding it, and you don't really clean it out, and then like a couple years later, it's like, oh my God, I got like all these like tangled up wires, knotted up and everything. That's the DCEU. For years now, they have just kept pushing away, and not really paying attention to what was going on. And now they have this jumbled up mess of wires knotted up and everything. And now Alan Horn's in there and he's trying to untangle the wires and stuff. And unfortunately, when it comes to stuff like that, movies like Batgirl is going to have to kind of eat the bullet now. You know, it's not fair to the people that worked on the movie. It's not fair to the actress, of course. But unfortunately, this is stuff that's happening because Warner Brothers is trying to course correct. David Zaslav and Alan Horn are trying to course correct everything that Warner Brothers just allowed to happen for no reason. Like, why is Wonder Woman 84 allowed to exist? Why is Suicide Squad got a sequel? Why is there a Birds of Prey movie? Why is there 3 different universes of Batman? This is stuff that Zaslav and Alan Horn are trying to fix right now. Unfortunately, Batgirl is one of the first casualties. And I'm telling you, don't be surprised if a lot of the Michael Keaton stuff doesn't happen. Maybe the Flash movie still happens. Maybe that still happens, guys. Maybe the Flash still happens. Michael Keaton still has his role in the Flash. But I'm telling you, there is a reason why Ben Affleck shows up. He comes in. They confirm a role in the Aquaman movie, and then a week later, boom, canceled. There's a reason why that stuff happened, guys. We might not know the full picture as of right now, but I'm telling you, start connecting the dots, right? Start throwing everything up on the wall and start pinning and using yarn to figure everything out because it's all connecting for a reason, guys. They're connecting for a reason. So that's my thought. I feel like the Flash movie was supposed to be a reset for the DCEU. I really believe Michael Keaton's Batman was going to replace Ben Affleck's Batman in that universe, and he was going to take on a mentor role for Batgirl. I feel that the Flash movie being pushed back a year, now it doesn't make sense for Michael Keaton to show up in Aquaman. Ben Affleck comes back, and it just doesn't make sense to have Batgirl with a Batgirl movie with Michael Keaton co-starring in there if the Flash got pushed back and then the Aquaman thing's not happening. So it just doesn't make sense. And they're like, well, we're just not going to release this because it just doesn't make any sense. We have confused our fan base enough. We need to make this more simple, more straightforward, and start having some structure to this stuff rather than the random stuff that we are just dishing out because we are never going to be able to make the amount of money that we are capable of making if we keep making dumb decisions like this. And unfortunately, that's why Batgirl is canceled. That is my theory on it. I have not heard anybody else's theory. This was something I was thinking about all night at work, and this is the first opportunity I had to get in front of my computer to actually talk about it. But this is just my theory. And I know a lot of you guys aren't going to agree with my theory. A lot of you guys are going to be like, they did this because of Ezra Miller. You need to think bigger. You need to think bigger than that. For those of you guys who think they did this because of Ezra Miller, you have to think bigger than that. There's no way they're going to allow one actor to threaten a $90 million Batgirl movie and a $250 million Flash movie. You got to think bigger than that. That's not how it is, guys. That's not how it is. You got to think bigger than that. You got to think everything that I explained and laid out to you in this video, everything from the Discovery merger to Alan Horn rejoining to Michael Keaton being casted, to Ben Affleck rejoining, to this being canceled, Batgirl being canceled. You have to look at all the evidence that I presented to you and say, it looks like WB is finally getting their shit together, and now the course correction has begun. So what is next on the chopping block? What is the next big move from David Zaslav and Alan Horn? We do not know, but we are going to find out probably sooner than we might think. Anyway, guys, that is all I have. Thank you for watching this very super long video. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to smash that like and subscribe button. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I love you all so very much. And until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and that is my opinion.